too.
We will call to order Safety and Public Works Committee meeting, September 6, 2022, 7:15 p.m. Council Chambers. We have 5 meeting agenda items at this meeting. First of which is a event street closure application for the Brainerd Fire Department open house. And Mr. Dean, if you want to walk us through that real quick.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. This is pretty typical fire department open house closure, somewhat of an annual event. So it'll be closing East River Road from 5 to 7 p.m. on October 13th. Fire department's going to provide much of everything for the facilities. The only thing that they'll need our help for is the temporary traffic control, which they'll request ahead of time.
Go across the street and ask the police. All right, I think this is something we've had going on for quite a few years. Nothing new here. Any questions?
No questions.
Any motions?
A motion to approve based on the recommendations that the applicant requests the traffic control for the street closure 1 week prior to the event.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Second item is the application for the St. Francis Marathon. Mr. Dean, go ahead.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. So this one is another annual event scheduled for October 19th from 8:30 in the morning until about 12:30 in the afternoon. It's the block of 9th, 10th, Juniper, and Kingwood, the block south of the church. So they'll be doing a handful of different walking events for the students, parents, and staff. They will distribute, or at least they've indicated they'll distribute the flyers to local residents and businesses in the area. Other than that, we just ask that they remove the signs after the event, and they ask us for the traffic control materials to provide the closure about a week ahead of the event, and that they give us an updated insurance certification prior to.
All right. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd move to recommend approval for the application with the conditions noted.
I second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Third item is approval of a temporary construction easement for the historic water tower projects. And Mr. Dean, go ahead and tell us about this one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. So in advance of the roof repair and some other minor repairs at the historic water tower, we requested a temporary construction easement from Mr. Person. This is essentially to stockpile materials as well as equipment, as they got their crane that they'll have to stage in that area. Most of the workers will access the water tower through the existing access easement we have through the building, although it would be pretty limited in the time that they'll have to do so. The temporary easement, through discussions with Mr. Person, he did waive his request for any monetary compensation in exchange that he would get some recognition or record of his donation by the Water Tower Committee. So I did forward him along to the Water Tower Committee to have that discussion with them. Since then, he has signed and returned the temporary construction easement signed and ready to go.
All right. Thank you to Mr. Person for working with us, allowing this project to happen, which has to happen so the water tower does not fall over. Any questions, comments?
No questions. I make a motion that we approve this as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to number 4, approval of electrical and mechanical at the Streets Parks Building, Parks Edition. Mr. Dean, if you want to tell us a little about this one, this is a little more complicated, but we got about 6 minutes, minus one item.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So last March 2021, Council approved the construction for the addition in the amount of about $504,000, a little over that. The original estimate had about $467,000 all wrapped up. So that included not only construction of the building, but as well as electrical, mechanical, and design. The $504 that was awarded to Norson was only for the building construction. That did not include the electrical and mechanical, nor was it including the design from Widseth. We reached a point where The shell of the building has been prepared. Now we're to the point where we need to get some mechanical and electrical put in the building so we can get ready to hopefully occupy the building prior to winter. So we have received some quotes for that work. We've received one quote from Pike for the mechanical for $37,000, and we received 2 quotes for the electrical, one from Holden, one for Jim's. To date, Holden has acquired materials for the project, and some of those have been reimbursed. Roughly about a third of the materials have been reimbursed to him. And he is planning and scheduled to come in as soon as the aprons are poured and ready to go so he can access the building. So we are just recommending that the Holden electrical as well as the Pike mechanical quotes are approved to be added to the project, which would increase the total cost of the project to $586,263, which would be roughly 25% over the original budgeted amount. And I'll open it up for questions.
Okay. I don't think we've seen anything increase yet, and we have expected to see increases this year, but I don't think we've seen anything as far as a construction project increase 25% yet, and I think this was an example of somebody dropping the ball on this one. But my main question for Mr. Dean going into this, if we approve this, which we kind of have to, otherwise we're just left with a shell of part of a building without heat, and plumbing was the other part. Is this going to affect our budget going into next year? And I know you were going to follow up with Finance Director
It will
Connie
not.
Hillman, who just entered the building.
I did verify that with Connie, that we do have funds available to fund the remaining portion of the project without affecting the lawsuit and the issues that way, or
Okay.
the budget going into 2023.
Okay, any questions for you guys?
No, Mr. Chair, I would move to recommend approval of the quotes from Pike Plumbing and Heating and Holden Electric for the additional mechanical and electrical work in the additional, for the total project cost of $586,263.
I second the motion.
Motion and a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Final item is direction on open code enforcement cases. I believe we have 2 properties on this one this week. Mr. Kramvik, if you want to take us through those 2.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So first property is 9206 Northtown Street. This one is for unlicensed tabs. They've been issued 3 citations. So recommendation is staff issuing a 10-day order to correct letter for the vehicle and begin working with the city attorney for abatement.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, second property is 15284 Beaver Dam Road. We've attempted to reach out multiple times to this property owner. We've also done some research, found that that this is a rental property. We did have to look at some utility records for that. So we did send out 3 citations for an unlicensed rental, have reached out multiple times, have not heard word from the property owner. So again, staff recommends issuing a 10-day order to correct letter and begin working with the city attorney for legal action on this property.
Thank you. And neither one of these properties owners have responded.
They have not.
Okay. Any questions?
I have none. I make a motion to approve with the
Recommendations attached.
with the recommendations attached. Thank you.
Second. Motion and a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and we can adjourn to the council meeting.